I accept the universe. Let every woman, who has once begun to think, examine herself. Very early I knew that the only object in life was to grow. What woman needs is not as a woman to act or rule, but as a nature to grow, as an intellect to discern, as a soul to live freely, and unimpeded to unfold such powers as were given her when we left our common home. In order that she may be able to give her hand with dignity, she must be able to stand alone. The especial genius of women I believe to be electrical in movement, intuitive in function, spiritual in tendency. Male and female represent the two sides of the great radical dualism. But in fact, they are perpetually passing into one another. Fluid hardens to solid, solid rushes to fluid. There is no wholly masculine man, no purely feminine woman. Let it not be said, whenever there is energy or creative genius, she has a masculine mind. We would have every arbitrary barrier thrown down. We would have every path laid open to women as freely as to men. If you ask me what offices they may fill, I reply, any. I do not care what case you put, let them be sea captains if you will. Amid all your duties, keep some hours to yourself. Today a reader, tomorrow a leader. There exists in the minds of men a tone of feeling toward women as toward slaves. Whatever the soul knows how to seek, it cannot fail to obtain. If the Negro be a soul, if the woman be a soul, apparelled in flesh, to one master only are they accountable. It is a vulgar error that love, a love to woman, is her whole existence. She is also born for truth and love in their universal energy. Two persons love in one another the future good, which they aid one another to unfold. Genius will live and thrive without training, but it does not the less reward the watering pot and pruning knife. Plants of great vigor will almost always struggle into blossom despite impediments. But there should be encouragement and a free genial atmosphere for those of more timid sort, fair play for each in its own kind. Man is not made for society, but society is made for man. No institution can be good which does not tend to improve the individual. For human beings are not so constituted that they can live without expansion, and if they do not get it one way, must another or perish. Men for the sake of getting a living, forget to live. For precocity some great price is always demanded sooner or later in life. Humanity is not made for society, but society is made for humanity. No institution can be good which does not tend to improve the individual. No temple can still the personal griefs and strifes in the breasts of its visitors. Reverence the highest, have patience with the lowest. Let this day's performance of the meanest duty be thy religion. Are the stars too distant? Pick up the pebble that lies at thy feet, and from it learn thee all. The critic is the historian who records the order of creation. In vain for the maker, who knows without learning it, but not in vain for the mind of his race. I now know all the people worth knowing in America, and I find no intellect comparable to my own. When the intellect and affections are in harmony, when intellectual consciousness is calm and deep, inspiration will not be confounded with fancy. I am suffocated and lost when I have not the bright feeling of progression. Harmony exists no less in difference than in likeness, if only the same keynote govern both parts. What concerns me now is that my life be a beautiful, powerful, in a word, a complete life of its kind. Our capacities, our instincts for this our present sphere, are but half developed. Let us be completely natural, before we trouble ourselves with the supernatural. But her eye, that torch or the soul, is untamed, and in the intensity of her reading, we see a soul invincibly young in faith and hope. Above all things, to remember that hypocrisy is the most hopeless as well as the meanest of crimes. We have waited here long in the dust. We are tired and hungry, but the triumphal procession must appear at last. If you have knowledge, let others light their candles at it. There are noble books, but one wants the breath of life sometimes. Where I make an impression, it must be by being most myself. All truth is comprised in music and mathematics. Accursed be he who willingly saddens an immortal spirit, doomed to infamy in later, wiser ages. Doomed in future stages of his own being to deadly penance, only short of death. Beings likely to be left alone, need to be fortified and furnished within themselves. And education and thought have tended more and more to regard these beings as related to absolute being. But the intellect, cold, is ever more masculine than feminine, warmed by emotion. It rushes towards Mother Earth and puts on the forms of beauty. Nature provides exception to every rule.